Today we're reading Numbers chapters 21 and 22. We begin in Numbers chapter 22 with King Arad, who lived in the south part of Israel, what's called the Negev. And he decides, he and his Canaanite buddies, well, actually he's king of the Canaanites there in that area. By the way, a king was a regional guy. Sometimes just the mayor of a city was called a king in those days. He decides to attack Israel, and as a result, he's destroyed. God lifts Israel up. Now, you'd think after a miracle like that, miraculous battle, that Israel would just be all about God. But some snakes come into the camp because of their rebellion. And people start complaining to Moses. Snakes are on us. And God tells Moses to build a brass rod and put on top of it a brass serpent. And when anyone is snake-bitten, if they'll look toward the brass serpent, they will be healed. Now, I'm wondering, why didn't God just, take away the snakes? Well, it had to be an issue of faith. If you believed and looked toward the rod with the brass serpent on top of it, you would be healed of the snake bite. And as a matter of fact, Jesus would mention this in John chapter 3, verse 14, when he said there, "And as Moses lifted up the serpent in the wilderness, even so must the Son of Man be lifted up." It's tough to find a good route to get over into Canaan when nobody wants you coming through their territory. They had been denied by Edom, so they head between Edom and up through Moab. And King Sihon of the Amorites, he comes out and decides that he's not going to let them have safe passage, even though they nicely asked. They said, "We won't bother any of your stuff. We just want to pass through." But instead, he attacks them. I guess he thought they were vulnerable. And King Sihon is wiped out. Now, by the way, that's then where Israel sets up their base of operations over on the east side of Jordan, and there in King Sihon's territory. And then King Og, a little bit farther north, he decides to attack Israel, and likewise, he's wiped out. Well, the Moabites then, King Balak of the Moabites, he becomes very concerned, and he goes out and hires a guy named Balaam. Balaam was a heathen prophet. He hires Balaam to come curse Israel. Well, Balaam is reluctant to go, but finally does go, and while he's on his way, he hadn't been listening to anything that God had told him. Now, keep in mind, he was a heathen prophet, but God spoke to him. His donkey speaks to him. Well, that's kind of an interesting story. Of course, you've heard of the donkey that talked in the book of Numbers. Well, here's that chapter 22, where the donkey talks. And this then cursing of Israel that Balak is asking Balaam to do is quite an impossible task, as Balaam tries to explain. Yet this goes on through chapters 23, 24, and 25, which is another day's reading. So that's what's in today's reading. Hope you enjoy it, get something out of it, and we'll see you tomorrow.